Hey y'all, welcome to Off the Beaten Path. My name is Cush.
My name is Breezy. On our podcast, we explore the great outdoors and the Second Amendment with a blend of culture,
comedy, and conversation. And oh yeah,
I'm making beats.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Beaten Path. You guys see my brother Breezy. You see his little gnome hands.
Gnome hands.
Little gnome hands with his big ginger beard. And tonight we have an amazing guest. I feel like I've said that a few times about a few of our guests, but I wanna welcome this brother on. His name is Danny. We've seen each other and we've known each other for I want to say, a little under a year maybe. But great guy. Yo, Danny, do your intro, man. Tell these people
Here we
about
go.
you.
Round of applause. There it is.
Yo, yo, yo. My name is Daniel, and I'm I'm kidding. No, yo, I met you guys at Goals, and what's funny is like you two, and I think you had maybe your brother was with you too there.
No, I think it was just us two. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you two came in like you guys were just like, whoo, whoo, whoo. You guys had like your shirts on, you had your gear. When I saw the gear, I was like, oh, these guys are legit. I was like, I wonder who they're working for. Because I've got a lot of friends that are in the industry for doing photography and videography and whatnot. And so when I see when I see gear, I'm like, okay, these guys are doing something major. I'm in the Cerakote business right now. Just got into the firearms industry in 2024. Before that, I spent like almost 3 decades teaching karate, being a martial arts, being the Karate Kid, being Daniel's son, and not quite as famous, but yeah.
That's cool.
And here I am today.
Nice. So okay. So let's just jump right into it. Breeze. He'll be chopping beats live on the podcast. So you'll see him. Yo, you got something queued up or no? Not yet.
Maybe not. I don't know. I might have something.
Just when you thought you knew a guy.
Actually, I do. And it has a little extra meaning this time because it's a Roberta Flack sample.
Oh,
she just passed away. R.I.P. Yeah, R.I.P.
Man.
So yeah, this is the sample I'll be chopping tonight. So let me know what y'all think.
Oh, I can dig it.
The vocals are.
I try to reason.
Yo, so hey, Danny, so let me tell you about Breezy, bro. There's been 2 episodes. For the most part, we can kind of figure out how he's gonna go, the direction he's gonna run in with the beat. But we had 2 episodes. I think it was the last episode and maybe a couple before that. He was chopping a sample up. I was like, yo, man, I can't wait to hear what this sounds like. And me and the guest, I don't even remember who it was. We thought for sure it was just gonna be like a rap, hip hop. And I was like, towards the end of the podcast, I was like, he's sitting there like this, talking, and I'm like, yo, you're done already? He goes, yeah. Because he works really fast on the beats. And he goes, yeah, let me play it for you. He presses play, a reggae beat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just happened to catch that chord. When I'm chopping samples, I might hear something initially, vocal, something, and then I'll loop it and I'll hear an instrument. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really hear that the first time. And it was a very kind of draggy chord. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. Let me build something around that. So I called the audible on that. Omaha.
Blue 42. Why do we always go blue?
Kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, preach.
Yeah, so I never really, like I said, I'll chop a sample thinking in my head, like, okay, I know how I'm gonna lay this out and sequence everything, and then I catch a little piece of it that I didn't hear the first time, and I'm like, oh. I look for the when you get the
that's a creative professional right there. Like, boom, you know it and you just get it.
Yeah. All right, so
we'll see what I can.
So Danny,
so we say all that. My bad, Cush. like I'll go off in the rabbit hole for a little bit. So if you see
Yeah.
me over here with the headphones on, I like pop in and out, and Kush will sometimes breeze, y'all breeze. So
And his smoke signals.
I love it.
So you said you got into the gun space in 2024?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna take it all the way back to COVID. Everyone's
Let's go.
favorite time of the 2020s.
Yeah.
I had a karate school and it was going under, and we're trying everything we could to save it, and we lost too many members to just they quit. Like people got to stay at home, and we tried doing Zoom karate. Let me tell you, like podcast talking is okay. Trying to get a kid to like look into the computer screen or the camera or whatever and do some punching and kicking is truly like herding cats, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, I bet.
cats that they're not even in your house.
Yeah.
So that fell apart, and my wantingness to stay in the martial arts and continue owning a school completely vanished. Just I was like, I'm done. Like I'm out. In my mind, I'd already made up. I was like, you know what? I'll go pick up garbage in a park. I'll go work Parks and Rec, baby, and pick up trash, and just so I could be outside in the woods, because I spent so much time out in the woods, back behind my apartment. I was out there meditating. I was walking 5-6 miles a day during
Wow.
this
This
COVID
is
time.
during COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And there was just something about it, man. There's just so much peace I got out there, and so we finally closed. We're closing our doors, and a buddy of mine who has a karate school reached out. It's like, hey, I know you're closing your doors. You want to come work for me? I was like, I'll be honest, I really don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, I'll pay you what you're making, and then you'll have room to move up. I was like, okay, fine. So got into that, but I knew that's not where I was. It's not where I was going to end up. I bought my first firearm. I made my first firearm purchase in 2020. Got an AR-15. Still have it. It's actually back here behind me. It's a little SIG action. I won't touch it because it's
the YouTubes.
I know, right? I get banned. Strike 1, 2, and 3. But 2021, I started seeing these ads for gunsmith. I was like, I kind of want to be a gunsmith. Didn't know why. I was just like, I was a kid who took everything apart and
tinkered. Yeah.
Didn't know how to put it back together. So I jumped into that space. Bought some gunsmith courses, and just started tinkering. I like anything. Like when you get into something like really big, you just start spending all your money in it.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
That's what I did. And so I had all these lowers, a couple 80%ers too. I just because you could at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just buying all these parts kits, and losing springs and detents everywhere. And at that point, I was like, I love this. I will do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be in the firearms industry come hell or high water, and it's just what I'm going to do. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. A couple months go by. It's this like 2022-ish. A buddy of mine, who I taught his niece and nephew to black belt earlier in my career, he had opened up a Cerakote shop for his son-in-law. And his son-in-law, he used to paint cars, race cars, and then they'd rebuild cars, and they do some really crazy sick builds. And he was tired of painting cars, and he wanted to do guns.
Nice.
And so I was talking to him about that. I was like, if there's an opportunity for me to come on, I would love an opportunity. Year goes by. I told my karate guys, like, look, 2024, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I'm done.
Yeah.
Like August would be my last month. And I was interning. I just started interning January of 2024, literally 3 weeks before SHOT Show. I just bought tickets to go to the Gundies because my buddy lives in Vegas, and I wanted to go to Gundies. I was really big into watching YouTube gun tuber content, and we got tickets to go. My buddy's like, why don't you get tickets to SHOT Show? You work you work in the industry now. I was like, well, I don't know. All right, cool. We'll see. And so, I called up my boss. I was like, hey, if I give you money for these tickets, will you, try and get us into SHOT Show? He goes, yeah. And, got all the proper paperwork. And if you, for listeners out there, if you don't know, you can't go to SHOT Show unless
That's
you
right.
are approved media or you're in the industry, and they vet, like they'll check all the background stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so I got in, and I was like a kid at Disney World, man. I was just running around everywhere, patches, stickers, meeting folks. And I had met a couple of those, like there were some guys that I'd met like at CanCon and those types of events. That was like my first taste of like range day kind of stuff, was going to CanCon. And I met a ton of cool people there.
Yeah.
So much fun. Everything's silenced, and like that really got me into silencers too. I got another one back there. My my Q, it's a SBR. It's got a Q trash panda on it too.
Nice.
But yeah, man. Like, and after that, I was so hooked in, and being able to make those connections and just start networking. Something I was always, I guess, proficient at was being able to communicate with people, because you have to, like, if you got to talk to a 3-year-old and get a 3-year-old to like do a punch and kick and a block, like you got to be able to communicate.
Sometimes it's like talking to an adult. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of those adults are like 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
Except they know better.
Yeah.
And it just, man, it picked up momentum from there. And I kept going to the events. The goals event was huge, because that was like 2 months after I had decided, let me go ahead and jump into the creator. I won't say influencer, creator space, right?
Yeah.
So I bought my blue check mark on Instagram. I pay my $15 a month. I ain't ashamed of it. And I start putting out content, and most of it was just pictures and videos of the firearms that we Cerakote, and it's getting a little bit of splash here and there. But I guess I had enough followers that I when I signed up for Goals event, I signed up as for media, because I wanted to go to the range day. That was really it, and they approved me. I'm like, yo, I think I had like 1,100 Instagram followers.
Yeah.
I didn't have a YouTube. I had nothing else. Just that alone, and they're like, you're in. I'm like, yes,
accomplished.
Yes.
That's actually a really cool story, because I know you touched on it right as you were doing your intro, and you mentioned it here right before you started this part. But you said you were in self-defense, like in karate, for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk to us about that, because we've had a few guests on that are like Three Gun Kenzie. I love her. She's a competitive shooter, and that requires running, shooting, start, stop, heart going, heart calm, heart going, heart calm. And you come in rather having almost 3 decades of a discipline under your belt, pun intended.
So it's over my belt now. It's hanging.
Yeah, it's over here. I want you to tell me about like, let's rewind and then let's talk about that. Like, what for you was it? Were you always involved in karate, like even as a little boy, or did you come to like around 15, 16 and get into like karate? Because I don't think people realize how demanding it is. Even karate, most people think, when you think self-defense classes outside of the firearm space, you think everyone Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but there's so many. Like my brother-in-law does Muay Thai, and when that dude works out, I'm like, yo, bro, you look like a wet towel, bro.
Yep.
So tell us about your karate experience. How did that start?
Being half Asian, it's in my blood, right? That's what everyone thought. So, especially growing up in the 80s, my name is Daniel, and naturally I'm Daniel-san. That is just the nickname you get. They call me the Karate Kid, and I was the kid who didn't know karate. I would run my mouth, because that's kind of what I knew how to do. I grew up with 3 older sisters, so I'd run my mouth and run, right?
Yeah.
I did that at school too. I'd run my mouth because, I was the little guy and always got picked on, and, so I'd trash talk back, and then I get slapped or I get popped, and that kind of sucked too.
Yeah.
And but it's funny you asked that because like as a kid I love all the martial arts movies. So Saturday morning, kung fu theater, that's a real thing. When you hear cats rap about that, Wu-Tang and all that stuff, like that was real, man. We grew up, watching that stuff. Dude with the long gray Fu Manchu and whatnot, or white beard, white hair, or whoever he was. And it wasn't until I was 17. I was 17 when I started karate. I worked at McDonald's and I saved up some money. And my stepdad was like, "You can either pay for your karate or you can get a car." And I went to a high school that was the name of the city and the school is Decula, and you can't say it without sounding redneck. It's Decula.
Decula. Yeah.
And if you didn't know about Decula, everyone's like, "What? Where do you go? Dacula? Is that like Dracula?" Um, and and so being called a racial slur on any given day was just a normal day.
Yeah. Wow.
Whether I'm sitting at my lunch table and I couldn't do nothing because these were big old country boys that wouldn't think twice to like
Yeah.
lay the beat down on me right then and there. I was like one of 6 Asians at that school. Me, Kimmy, Ruby, Lisa, right? My family, and then these 2 Vietnamese twins. Like that was it. That was only Asians out of like 1,200 kids at that school. So it was a necessity. Like I really felt like I needed that from a survival standpoint. And so, you talk about the demandingness of it. It is for kids. For some kids, it's just like, oh, we go twice a week, blah blah blah, whatever. Me, I was like every single day.
Yeah.
I stopped hanging out with all my buddies. All the cats I used to play basketball with and football with outside. Till the sun came down. I was going to karate instead, 5-6 days a week. Because I was tired of getting picked on. I was tired of being a victim, tired of being weak. And most of that was up here, but it was also, like, if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so once I got a touch of that confidence, and I did show off, like a douchebag sometimes at school, but it worked in my favor because people would see that and go, oh, we're not going to mess with Danny. And it wasn't because, and I don't think it was because they were worried I was going to whoop their butts. I think it was the fact that they were worried I was going to stand up, fight back, and they potentially were going to get hit with something that,
they had no idea was coming. Yeah.
So, so it was like my senior year, nobody messed with me. I was like 5'5", 5'6", 125 pounds.
Your senior year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't until after my senior year I shot up to a whopping 5'7.5", right? I got up to about 140, 145 pounds. And a lot of that muscle building came from just 5-6 days a week of karate. Always hitting the heavy bag. That's all I did. Kicking heavy bags. And my legs got big. My muscles in my legs got really big. I was like, ooh, what are these? It's like, I wasn't used to having muscles. But yeah, it was out of necessity. And then I didn't think I was going to be a karate teacher. I was going to be a computer nerd, right? And they're like, hey, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to try teaching? You get to jump around in pajamas and, do karate. And you'll get paid pretty good. They lied about that part. They didn't pay me nothing. But so I jumped right into that and I stuck with it. I got, I had a lot of good coaches around me that helped me because I had a lot of energy and I had a willingness always have a willingness to learn. I tell my kids to this day, it's like, you always have to be a white belt. Doesn't matter what you do. Right. No matter how long I teach, I'm still a white belt. I will learn something, whether it's from another little kid on how to communicate better or just another tactic or another style or something. And so, so I just kept doing that. And then I just stayed in the industry. Got to train with some legends. When you hear the name Joe Louis, who do you think of?
The fitness dude. Isn't he a boxer?
Boxer, right? Legendary boxer. There's a white Joe Louis.
I didn't know that.
Most people don't. most martial arts guys, most karate guys will know Joe Louis was the king of modern kickboxing. So before, Chuck Norris was making it a thing, he was pre Chuck Norris in the 60s. He was full contact heavyweight, bad mama jamma. And we got to train with him when he was in his 60s before he passed away. Homeboy could still kick me across the room, and he did. It was terrible. But we got to train with some legends. We got to, I don't know, man. It's just it was a really good experience.
You know what's cool? If I could jump in right here.
Please.
So me and my brother, we grew up in the neighborhood. We're neighborhood kids. Like we grew up fighting. We grew up doing the hood rat stuff because that's what we weren't college shows hood rats. We were neighborhood kids. And when my brother was 15, when we were 15, because he's my twin brother, when we were 15, we used to hang out in the rough part of town. So downtown and this other part of the city, they used to beef all the time, like all the time. And when we were in high school, everybody knew us as the twins who hung out with the kids from downtown, right? And we were at this place called the Palace, which is now closed. And my brother ends up getting jumped, and I go to his side, and it was just mayhem because there was guys from downtown there, and there was guys from Rivera there, and my brother gets jumped. I stand up. We're fighting. Everybody's fighting. The guys we ended up going with ended up running, and we knew that was going to happen because these particular dudes. My mom was like, "Oh, take my friend's kids." We're like, "Nah, those kids are soft. If something goes down here, like we need to be with our homies." So our homies met us there, but these kids were with us. And I say kids because we were all 15 years old. And this one in particular, he was 17, 18. So, and he had a little bit of build to him. He was a wrestler. We thought he was going to like get down with us. Negative, sir. He took the minute it popped off, him and this other kid fled. And me and my brother, we stood there and we got busy. But my mom after that, we got arrested. Everybody, a whole bunch of people got arrested. But she's like, "I want to sign y'all up for karate." And we were like, "Nah, hell no. Karate? Negative. We're not doing that." Fast forward, we end up going to karate for like, I don't know, 3 months. However long it takes you to be a white belt, we didn't make. You know what I'm saying? Like we were a white belt for like maybe 3 months in this. They had brought in this brother. He was a black belt, and he was Korean and black. And he comes in. He's looking at all of us, like she's introducing him to the class, and we're standing there, and he goes, "Man," he goes, "You two," he goes, "Y'all two look like sore thumbs. Like y'all don't belong here." We're like, we're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, let's I want to work with y'all specifically today. And so, we were working or whatever, like kicking, sparring. And he's like, "Hey man, y'all got something inside of you that's like, you have this need to just like, right?" He's like, "Would y'all be interested in doing kickboxing?" And we were like, "Hell yeah." And so like he told, damn, I still remember her name. Her last name was Anacleto. Gina Anacleto, and she go, "I want to do kickboxing with them." And she's like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so we were the only two kids, and he was like showing us how to like bob weave, how to hold your chin and all. And we did that for like maybe a year or so, and then stopped. And so what do? When we learn all this stuff, we go back to the neighborhood. And we're just boxing everybody up. We were just fighting everybody. And it was fun. And it's funny because I was just telling me and my brother were just saying, "Yo, we need to get back into boxing because, I like that level of like it's healthy violence, right? You're learning a discipline, but you're also learning how to be proactive about either defending yourself or attacking other people." And I don't want to say he's a friend, but I documented my weight loss journey. Not last year, the year before, and at that last month or the last episode of that, we went and trained with a celebrity. What is he? Breeze trainer, like a fitness trainer.
Yeah, MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and this dude is involved in bare knuckle boxing, bro.
Oh yeah, he was there training with them. Yeah, he trains
With
at this
them,
guy's gym we went to. Yo,
yeah,
absolute animal, like a mini rhinoceros.
yeah. Dude was vicious, but you know, we were talking. He's a British dude. Man, what was his name again?
Brutal
Brutal
boss.
Bostwick.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
started talking, and we were like, you know, I realized pretty quickly that he's from the neighborhood too, but in England or the
Yeah.
UK, wherever he's from. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, yo, would you hop in the ring with me? I was like, oh yeah. He goes, you got the heart. I was like, yeah. I was like, he's like, we'd have to use gloves because I don't want to hit you in the face with bare knuckles. I was like, yeah, definitely not. I'm like, but yeah, I'd get in the ring. He's like, that's neighborhood mentality. He goes, not a lot of guys will get in the ring
Nope.
just about. And I'm like, yeah. And I say that because the point of all of that is fast forward to today, 2025, sitting right here. Rob and I have talked to several guests and have told them it don't matter how much you train, how often you train, your mind, your heart, your body, it all has to be in a certain condition to be able to withstand certain levels of stress, pressure, all of this stuff, right? But more importantly, you got to have the heart. Because I've heard people in the space, Breezy's heard it too. Oh, I can't wait to go to Valhalla and die in a hell of gunfire. And I'm just thinking to myself, yo, y'all, 90% of y'all will never know what that's like. Never. You know what I'm saying? Like I know Breezy has too, but I've had real homies die to gun violence. I've been shot at as a teenager, my brother too. You know, like we know what that's like. For people to say that blows my mind because the level of survival that comes with that and the trauma that comes behind it is not worth the statement. You know what I'm saying? And so I say that because you in particularly you have all this discipline under you, 30 years of discipline. You know what it's like to be in stressful situations, even though you know you're teaching children, you're keeping an elevated heart rate, and you still have to be able to pull it down to communicate and keep a level head for children. Because bro, I don't know about you, but there's times I'm a father of three. Well, my kids will, I want to, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to teach them unhealthy aggression. I believe in healthy aggression. I believe like if someone's coming to turn you into a victim, we'll be the victor. I always say don't start anything, but don't be scared to finish it either. And so hats off to you, bro, for you know like being a martial artist first and foremost, and then like that's a skill I think you could bring into the space, bro. Seriously, like I know you probably don't want to, but I've given this thought. Like, there's so many people that could benefit from just
The
knowing basic self defense.
Oh no, absolutely. No, and you know, we have learned through some guys that couple special forces guys, we've learned knife defense stuff, like legit stuff, not your mall karate variety of they're gonna attack like this, right? And you got to go, yeah, yeah. And you know, we've been able to train some gun things. And so like, you know, putting all that together and I didn't just do karate either. I stepped in the ring. And you know, my buddy always gave me grief about that because you know I'd go to karate tournaments. We did point fighting. Point fighting is you know it's tag. We still hit black belt adults. We thump, but it's not knockout, right? It's not full contact, and that is completely different from point contact. And so I finally did it. Got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Spent a lot of time in there, and you know, like you know, all the gun guys will tell you, man, like train. Doesn't matter what you train, just start training, and then you will just go from there. And it, you know, the karate took me to kickboxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and again, some of the knife, stick, gun things. Now into you know actual guns and stuff, and so like understanding distances, reaction times, whether I'm going for, you know, any given day I've got 2 or 3 knives on me. I've always got my gun on me. And, you know, if I can't get to those fast enough, I'm very confident in using my knowledge and an experience.
Yeah.
I don't have, I'm not as as a neighborhood kid running the streets myself. I ran from the fights because didn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
As an adult, I don't want to go to jail. So I always avoided fights. I have one street fight to my name, to my credit. And it wasn't even a street fight. It was some college kids came into this, they came into this axe throwing place. And
Oh man.
our friend was the manager of this spot. And we're hanging out with him and one of their employees that we become really good friends with. She was leaving to go to Michigan last day. So we brought some pizzas, and this is one of those places that they'll serve beer and let you throw axes, totally safe.
Yeah.
And so we're just having a good time. These kids come in, it's right at closing time, and the manager's like, sorry guys, we're closing. And like they're giving the bird and this, that, and the other and cursing at us and just like whatever. And they grab our pizza. And one of them throws a slice against the glass. Like they had been drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it was not a good move on their part. Because my other buddy that with, he does not like disrespect of any kind.
Yeah.
And that set him off. He took off, right? And he's not a trained fighter, but homeboy can fight.
Yeah.
And he was gone in a split second. I look over and he's already out the door. I'm like, oh no, I already know what this means. So I take off running. I may have had, 2 or 3 beers in me, so I got some beer legs going. I round the corner, and this skinny, gangly, goofy kid with blonde hairs holding holding our pizza. And my buddy's yelling at him, pointing his finger in his face. I was like, oh, no, no. And I'm around the corner. I see it. And I see this, boom. You see the pizza fly up. You see the gangly kid look up and then just slap the crap out of that kid. That kid hits the ground. That kid's buddy grabs my friend. They go to the ground. And I'm running. Kid stood up. He saw me running in, swings at me. And I'm like, nope. Dropped under, used my jujitsu and wrestling, double leg, threw him on his back, sat on top, ground and pound. It's punching time. And
yeah.
When you train like that, you immediately go, you're just hitting. And I'm hitting. And I hear him whimper. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, what did we do? I just start slapping him at that point. and then I was just like,
slap goes a long way though.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
What's funny is like the whole time we have a crowd around us at this point. They are cheering us on.
That's awesome.
It was like Rocky or something. So I was like, at that point, I knew he wasn't a threat. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, we're done. Get up. And I grabbed and I pull him up. I was like, don't do anything stupid. I'm going to knock you out. And I turned to my buddy who's got the other kid locked up in a guillotine inside of his guard. And he's just squeezing for dear life. And I'm tapping him on the head. I'm like, hey, we won. You can let go of his neck now. And he's so spiteful too. He's like, did you hear that? My friend said we won.
That's great.
So
in my mind,
picks him up, grabs his keys, hands him his keys. And, it's kind of like a, kick in the butt, get the heck out of here. And, we went around. And and this was right. This was 2020. Because it was right when I had just gone to the new karate place that I was working at. I had to call my boss right there. It's like midnight about this time. I'm like, hey man, I might go to jail for beating up some college kids tonight. I don't know, but if I don't show up Monday, that's why.
That's great. That's great.
He called.
You should have stopped the story at tossed them the keys, give him a kick in the butt, and then roll credits.
Well, I thought so. As I'm visualizing everything going down, like you running, bending the corner, I'm like picturing the pizza going up in the air in slow motion. I'm like, did someone say? Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like, I got the pizza. I dove for the pizza. I tossed that to the side after it was secured. Then
I Luke Kane bicycle kicked him.
Yeah. I kicked the pizza back in the box that landed on the bench. Then I was like, now listen. Question: do you have to let people know you're professionally trained? Like, no, okay, that's not a thing.
No, that's only if you register your hands for like professional boxing or something like that. Like,
No, I mean,
have you ever
many,
said that? Like, hey, bro, I'm a professional fighter. I know.
There are so many guys that have because pro guys get, whether they realize or whether the other person realizes or not, like they get messed with all the time. And there's plenty of times where pro fighters get into fights, and there's no time for that conversation. It's some drunk idiot acts like a drunk idiot, and then you just have to respond, and whatever happens, happens. So under no circumstance are you required. As a matter of fact, that might actually work against you, because it might, if it sounds provoking. It's like, yo, man, I'm a black belt, I'll whoop your behind, right? At that point, like, I don't want you to know what I know. I want you to assume that I'm not
like,
dangerous.
well, check this out. Clickety clack.
Click clack, step the back.
Pop.
Man. You're like, yeah.
You're like, oh man, there it is. Oh man, I wasn't ready.
Check this out, bro. Dog, Breezy.
There it is.
You're like, yeah, yo, check this out. Oh man, you know what's funny? I just a few months back I purchased some gloves, some bare knuckle gloves, and a mouthpiece. And me and my son I have a bag back here. I actually just got rid of it because, man, remember when it was pouring like that? Those 2-3, it seemed almost like 3 weeks back to back. Breeze a couple months back. Man, that bag really wore down. I was like, damn, that was really a cheap bag, but it was one of the nicer ones, and I did leave it outside in the elements. So,
That'll
but
do it.
yeah, now my gym, the gym
do
I
it.
go to has like 8 bags. So I told my son, like, on the weekends, I'm gonna be over there hitting the bag. But yeah, bro, I love that. So now that takes us up to you entering the firearms space. You kind of told us of how your buddy's dad or whoever started the Cerakote company. So do you have experience with firearms prior to jumping in the industry? Like, did your dad, your stepdad, or any family members? Because you grew up in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Tequila. Bro, Georgia it's the South, bro. Like Florida.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's hunters and all that other good stuff out there. Did you ever go like on hunts or anything like that?
No, so like me and my stepdad, we didn't have a good relationship, and that kind of swung both ways. I was a jerk and I was rebellious, and he wasn't having none of that. So he was a hunter. He went hunting, he went fishing, those kinds of things, and I didn't really care to like it as a teenager back then. I just wanted to listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony, play some basketball, and clickety clack, pretend I was a gangster.
Oh man, that's dope. And so you're at Breeze.
Yo, he dropped the Bone Thugs and Harmony, so I'm wondering like what else you were listening to back then. Like, what was your introduction to like rap hip hop? Like the first thing you were like binge went in on.
If you did, if not, that's cool.
Yeah, I guess.
It was the 80s. What do I remember?
NWA.
No, because I didn't have access to NWA until a little bit later. I say that we had my cousins, every once in a while they'd get some music from the older sister that was that the explicit stuff. So we got a little bit of 2 Live Crew every once in a while. MC Hammer.
Of course.
Like
Too Legit.
It was global. Yeah, I mean,
even before Too Legit, it was
you couldn't avoid Hammer for a little while.
Turn this mother out.
Yeah,
wow. Yo, that was a record.
That's it.
You really just aged yourself.
Oh, for sure. Rob Bass.
Okay, yeah, that was my nickname in middle school. Rob Bass. Yes, sir.
I couldn't fight, but I could dance, and I could only dance because I always used to hang out with my sisters because I have no brothers, and they were my older sisters. They were the cool kids, and they had all the confidence. So they had cool friends, and most of them were cute. So I was always trying to hang around just for that too. And I was you know, I'd be watching them dance, and you know, I'm watching Yo MTV Raps, and you know, just like I could dance. And so when I first started dancing in front of kids, like at school or something, they'd be like, "Oh, all he knows how to do is dance. He can't fight." But I was like, "I can dance," and the girls were like, "Oh, look at Danny, he can dance."
You're like, I'm a lover. I'm a lover, not a fighter, baby. You ever heard someone rap thuggish, ruggish bone, girl? Come here.
It's the thuggish.
No, that's good because in my mind, I'm very.
Danny has cornrows.
My life is like my life is like
time stamp
music. So I went right to like what it looked like in the Bone Thugs and Harmony era. You know, like my mind went there, and I'm like, okay.
He's rocking a flannel.
We were talking before the podcast that we're pretty close in age.
Yeah. Yo, so it was baggy pants. Sometimes I was wearing them backwards because you know crisscross, totally
crisscross. Yeah.
You had the cross colors.
Yeah. Oh man, we were wild.
Do y'all remember those?
Come on, brother. Come on,
bro.
I was broke, baby. I couldn't afford those Z-Cap Ricci's.
Yeah.
My sister got her a job and she was rocking those, and they were gone as quickly as they were here. Cross colors was a thing, though.
Yeah.
That was like really big. Yeah. That was really
wow.
Damn. Yo, we just really aged ourselves. If anybody,
that's all right though. We're aging like fine wine, baby.
Yeah, that's it. You younger heads don't know anything about that good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, brother, but maybe one day we'll figure it out.
Yeah, one day.
The kids of today will never know what it was like to have, because like that's when rap really took off and evolved. As you guys know, in that late 80s, early 90s, you know, the Tribe Called Quest, all them cats, all those New York cats, Wu-Tang, and it went from you know, the Sugar Hill Gang style, or even
fun.
You know, like when LL or Slick Rick, you know, it's like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, right? Like to like intricate lyrics,
rapping.
Yeah. Well, they say that fork in the road was Rakim.
Like,
absolutely.
Like it was still kind of you had the Fat Boys and kind of like some funny, and then like Rakim was like, "Yo, I ain't no joke."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, okay, all right."
And then Nas at the barbecue.
At live, come on, man. Come on now. Come on now.
Listen, dog.
You know, it's funny. I wasn't even a huge fan of Nas until like later as an adult.
That's like it's kind of like Cush's story.
Just like me. I didn't really start listening to him. Like I get a lot of beef from Breeze. Not a lot, but healthy level of beef. Everyone loves Illmatic, but to me, the Stillmatic is the better project.
Yeah.
Stillmatic is like still rapping.
I remember. Go ahead. I remember my girlfriend coming over with the Nasty Nas halftime cassette, you know, and I was like, "What is it?" Because that was his. Because really, he got signed off that Live at the Barbecue verse.
Yep.
Like that was that got him his deal, and I remember that was his first single, and I remember listening. That was the days of cassette singles, A side, B side, and we listened to that like it was this is the guy, this is the next guy, you know. You knew you had a feeling, and then he dropped Illmatic, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
What's even going on? That's when I think that was the time when I was like, you know how I kind of dabbled as an MC, you know, and then I remember hearing Illmatic like, nah. I make beats or something.
Yo, dog. Bro, that's great.
Yeah, it was one of those like that's the pinnacle of like that's one of those, to me anyway, that's one of those Jordan things. Like I always say, no one will ever be better than Jordan.
No,
right?
Never.
Like there's no such, like you could be as good as Jordan, maybe. And that, for me, that's a Nas Illmatic thing. Like that's just one of those the grails of hip hop.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of, I love that we brought this up because I mean this podcast does cover culture and hip hop. I mean, he's chopping up a beat. Speaking of which, you got to play that in a minute. But
I will.
I don't think people in the space are usually like, okay, no, let me rephrase that. The traditional demographic of the space is old white hunting males, and things like hip hop when it spread so fast like wildfire because there were so many people in the inner cities who could relate. Like I know what it is to have a pistol illegally as a teenager. Breezy does. Breezy, it's funny. Like Breezy's a B48 white dude, but he didn't have your typical upbringing from like the country. Breezy's like a city guy. You know what I'm saying? So like he knows, and there's a whole nother breed of white guys just like Breezy. They grew up on hip hop, on beats, and just doing street stuff because they had that in them and they needed to get it out. Not saying we condone any illegal activity. No, that's not it. Just saying as people we have a different textured reality, and for some of us it's I need to carry something on me just to make sure I can get from here to my next destination safely. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this podcast really is excuse me, designed to embody. Tell those stories. Tell the stories of like why Danny you got into martial arts. You wanted to stand up for yourself. You wanted to defend yourself, and now you have your soul is on fire for firearms and just growing in the space. And you said you're working at Second Caliber, right?
Yes, sir.
So we know what Cerakote is. I'm sure there's other dudes in regular world who know what Cerakote is, but for those who may not know, tell us what you do at Second Caliber. You guys customize essentially firearms, right?
Yes, sir. So the for Cerakote, for those of you who don't know what Cerakote is, it's a ceramic paint, really, but it's very durable. It was built to withstand lots of chemical corrosion, whether it's rust or actual like chemicals. Like you put acetone on any paint and it's going to peel it up and eat it up. But you can put a gun that's been Cerakoted and let it hang out in acetone and it'll be okay. And the cool part about it is like you can do a lot of different colors. There's different ways of curing it so that you can do some just outlandish designs on there. And I'm sure you guys have seen it, but like the Miami Nights style of colors, those Miami Vice colors, you see them on firearms now. Like they'll take the Vietnam Tiger Stripe and put the Miami colors on them, Miami Vice colors, and you got this this off the beaten path firearm. You're like, it ain't your regular Joe Schmo black AR-15. You got something that looks like it's personal, it's personalized, and it's customized. And part of why I got into firearms, what I really wanted to do is I wanted to, and I know you guys can definitely relate to this, is like I wanted culture to come together. All culture, everything, everybody, all walks of life. I really wanted minorities, and I wanted nerds, because I'm both, right? I'm a minority and I'm a nerd, and I want come to find. It was funny. It's like come to find out, SHOT Show showed me last year. There's already a bunch of them out there. I was like, oh, my people are here.
My people are here.
There's Asians over here. All right, because you'll have a perception until you learn, right? Like, and your perception is skewed until you actually see it for your own eyes. And my perception is military, law enforcement, Elmer Fudd, right? That's the gun culture.
Wow, that's
right.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
You go to SHOT Show and there's some weird cats there. You're like, who is this person? How'd they get in? They're a gun person. All right, well, they'll be my friend then. And it's so being able to do that in the Cerakote business, where we had this one cat call up and I think he's doing it for his daughter. I hope so. No judgment, but he wanted a Hello Kitty AR-15. And what's funny is like so Zach, who he's the main guy here. He runs the shop. He's the talent. I just send emails and post stupid videos on our Instagram. Like that's my job. He is not a fan of doing some of those kinds of things, but like it's a customer, they want it, we'll do it. But I love that kind of stuff. Like if you want to put Hello Kitty, I'm Asian, so like I dressed up as Hello Kitty for Halloween a couple times to just mess with everybody. I'm like, yeah, awesome. My blood.
You're like Hello
That's
Kitty.
great. Hey, and real quick, I want to give you now that you're saying you handle the social media stuff, I want to give you props on that. You do a really good job with that.
Good job on it. Yeah.
I coming from you guys, because you guys are professionals. This is what you guys do. And I love seeing not just like your Instagram stuff, but your LinkedIn stuff. Like that's high quality. That's professional level. So to get that compliment from you two truly means a lot, because I feel like I just throw stuff together in like CapCut and go, well, maybe
whatever comes out. This is it. This is the post. Yeah. Nah, it looks good, and
it's good.
You know, we try to encourage teams that you need to have someone dedicated to social media. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the biggest part of marketing anymore, but it's becoming a behemoth in the space, just in any line of business, because you can capture audiences like that. You know, that's it. The audience. That's it. Yep. And so, yeah, man. Speaking of which, audience, play something for the people, bro. What do you got?
I think I went. I'm trying to think of the other beats I've made. I think I went kind of dark on this one.
Oh,
this is maybe like get the Griselda boys on the phone, but I don't know. I'll see what you think about this one. Yeah.
Right, let's see. Yeah, you're right.
I got stuff falling down over here. Maybe a little off key.
Yeah, I like it though.
Yeah, very ugly.
West Side Gun. Yeah, definitely. So what we're gonna do is at the end of the season, he's gonna compile all the beats, and we're gonna design like a off the beaten path season 1 album.
Hells yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell that kick was hitting because
your stuff is falling.
Yeah, stuff is falling. So that's a good sign.
Yo, Danny. So before we let you go, man, like what do you see is in store for you? Because like you said, there are other Asians in the space, but and I agree with you, and we both agree with you. Like this isn't so much as like the DEI initiatives as much as it is the representation, because there are pockets of people that look like us, talk like us, sound like us, come from similar walks of life, and the Second Amendment unites us in that. And with that, outside of culture, it's the Second Amendment, a shared love for what the Second Amendment provides all Americans. What do you see next for you, like personally, as an Asian American in the space, and like for people who want to follow Second Caliber, where can they reach you?
Great question. So continuing making content with I got a core Asian friends, and we come from all different walks of Asianness, because we're not all Chinese, come to find out, believe it or not. And what we're doing right now is we're bringing new people in, especially women, cute ones, but we're bringing women. We're bringing women to the range. We're bringing women in, and we're showing them basics. We're showing them. We're doing airsoft. We're doing the ACE virtual reality stuff with them, and then we put a real gun in their hand, and to see their face. We want to continue doing that, not just with women, of course, but with anybody who is open-minded enough to at least come out. And even if you don't want to shoot a gun, come watch, come experience it. And we want to just continue to educate. And that's the karate teacher me. Like, I want to continue educating because I want to continue learning. And I learn better when I get to teach it. And so, our content, we want to continue pushing that, also trying to be funny at the same time, and get people to, send their firearms here so we can paint them. But like, I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. I don't know if I'll still be at this company or if I'm going to be at 3 different companies or whatever. But all I know is as long as I can walk or roll or whatever and be alive and moving, I want to spend that time in the firearms space, being the right positive influence for the Second Amendment, because, without the second, you don't have the first, right? You don't have I and it's hard for people, I think, to wrap their head around that until they get into the Second Amendment space, and understand what it is. Because it's not just going to the range and shooting guns. It's not just pumping AK-47 into a pile of trash for funsies. It's much larger than that, and that's
because there's so many. We've said this numerous times, Breeze. There's so many versions of the 2A out, right? Like there's really only one 2A, which is the Second Amendment, but there's different walks of it. There's the tactical side, there's the self-defense, there's a guy who trains every day, there's skeet shooting, shotgun shooting, AR-15, pistol shooting, three gun, like it's so much more than this. Is just the 2A is what unites us, but we can all have different passions under that umbrella. And like even outdoors, like hunting, like as funny as it may seem to some people, like I'm 40 years old, I've never been hunting. I want to go hunting. My 40s is going to be about hunting, putting meat in my own fridge. I don't want to go to the store for any meat. I want to harvest all my own stuff and fill my fridge, because man, like there's the entire outdoor space. You said something at the very beginning of this podcast. You said that during COVID you were outside in the back of the woods behind your apartment and you felt such a great connection. Rob and I, Rob, if I'm lying, bro, correct me, bro. When we went to Virginia, we were standing on top of a mountain, and the level of solitude, power, and peace that you feel. And we've had a massive faith calling, so we give our praise and honor to God first and foremost.
Amen.
To be standing there atop of this mountain, like I will never see anything like that in South Florida. We're the flatlands. But in Virginia, it's like it's beautiful. Like my eyes are so fixated on consuming the beauty that God created. And I tell people that, like, that's why our whole thing is merging the outdoors and the urban markets, not just the 2A in the urban market. It's the outdoors, because it encompasses everything that the Second Amendment is. So you could be a hunter, you could be a tactical guy, you could be a security officer, or you could shoot for fun, whatever. It encompasses everything. So Danny, Rob, unless you want to say anything. Oh no, we got to do our questions, bro.
Yeah, I think
we'll have know to come how he's gonna
go. New question, because it's been like super lopsided. But he could kind of like, it'll run the gamut with who everyone picks. So I'm gonna come up with a different scenario. Zombie apocalypse has popped off. You got to go to the corner store bodega to get some things. You got a couple of guys to choose from. One of them is Jason Bourne. The other one is John Wick. Who you rolling with?
Jason Bourne.
No! What? Oh, man.
Yeah! Yes!
Really?
Yes!
Whoa!
Why Jason Bourne?
He's gray man. He's gray man, and he blends right in. He looks like a tax accountant.
Ooh.
Analytical. Yep.
And a bad mama jamma.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
Wow. That's a hard choice, but like that was my knee jerk, Jason Bourne.
No, that's cool. When you were thinking about, because everyone's been like John Wick, and I'm like, okay, I thought this was a tougher question than that. So when you're like, I was like, no way.
Because I'm definitely going Jason Bourne, bro. I was waiting for the end of the season to
because when the ammo runs out, I feel like Jason Bourne's gonna get busy.
Imagine he then becomes Neo. Whoa. What? I thought you were.
Goes from John Wick to Neo.
You're like, what?
You're like, do you believe now, Trinity?
All right, what's your everyday carry?
Glock 19.
Of course.
Oh yeah, we got another. What's up? Favorite platform out of these two? AK, AR.
AR.
Okay, and now AR or shotgun?
Shotgun, only because I just started getting a shotgun. I really freaking love it. If I'm shooting full auto, AK. I'll take AK over AR if I'm shooting full auto.
Okay. All right.
There's just something gangster and raw about shooting 7.62 by 39 full auto.
Yeah.
Man, I love it, bro.
Yes.
I love it. I got rid of my Pioneer Arms AK because I want to get a Zastava. Zastava, am I saying that right?
Mhm.
Zastava. But I want to get a Zastava one, or maybe one of those. I might get some flack for this, but I would like to get maybe a PSA one.
Bro,
is that right it? A PSA?
That's the GF3. I got it from PSA. It's a blim. I got it for like.
Oh, a blim? Yeah.
That many's.
Yeah,
that
many's.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Well, hey, Danny, I appreciate you coming on. Bro, I can't wait to see you at the next event. Rob,
sure.
I don't know if there's anything you want to say.
No, that's it, man. I know I was in and out of this one, but we appreciate your time, man. Always excited when we see you places, man. Your energy's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you're one of our favorite people in the space, man. You do a great job with everything, carrying yourself, education, the posts, props on that again, man. Super consistent. So we're grateful for you being on the show, man.
And of course, you're a black belt ninja. So.
Yeah. If I can say this for your audience, I would say the same of you guys. You guys, ever since meeting you, and again, it's been less than a year, you guys are truly some of my favorite people. Like, every time I go to these events, I'm hoping to run into you guys. And like, I would consider you family, and you were already in that ride or die space.
Yeah.
With me.
Likewise.
In my book.
Wow, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Man, I love being a turtle. Oh, Ninja Turtle!
Man. Oh, man.
Donatello, baby!